So we are starting a new module today called Networking on the AWS Cloud. And here are the objectives. After today's class, you'll be able to understand basic networking concepts. You'll be able to understand what is, sorry, I misunderstand here. You'll be able to understand what is public and private network and the difference between public and private networking resources. You'll be able to understand what is virtual private cloud, what is VPN, direct connect, and their benefits. You'll be able to describe hybrid deployment benefits. And finally, you'll be able to understand the different layers of network security. For you to be able to understand all of that we've mentioned, these are the topics we need to cover. First, introduction to computer networking. After that, we're going to AWS networking, which AWS provide a service for called AWS VPC. AWS VPC have a lot of components in order to become a fully fledged services. And among these components is subnet, routable, internet gateway, NAT gateway, and IP addressing. After this, we look at the network security on AWS. Network security in AWS is a very big topic on its own. But for this class or this section, we're going to be looking at the three major ones. The VPC flow log, network access control list, which is normally called NACO, or some people call it NAT ACL. Network ACL. Then we have one of the most important one, which is security groups. So these are the topics that we need to cover for you to understand all we've mentioned. Before we jump into the AWS cloud, let's look at computer networking in general. When we talk about computer networking, a computer networking is a collection of interconnected computers and devices that communicate with each other to share data and resources. In your house, in your church, in your office, anywhere, you have multiple computers or multiple devices. And these devices, they communicate together or they connected together. This is what we refer to as networking. You have a router in your house, you have TV, the TV is connected to the router or is connected to your switch, if you're using switch. You have a mobile phone, all of them are wireless, they are connected to the router. You have printer, which is connected to also the router. You have laptops and fridge, all these gadgets, all of them, they are connected together. So this is a small network. And your network in your house is also connected to a bigger network, which is your service provider network. That is a larger network. And your service provider has a lot of branches, which most of the time, all of them are connected together. This is a broader network. So networking is just connecting multiple computer or computer devices together. So let's look at the TheCornelis computer network. In every network or in an organization, you have multiple or different gadgets or devices that are connected together that is helping the company to achieve its business objective. So let's look at this image. And this is like a prototype of what you see in most company out there. So what are the components that you can find in a computer network? Well, the first component is the client's laptop or the client's computer, which is the computer that you use as your work computer, or we call it workstation. Then after that, you have servers, which is a computer that helps you to, or that you use to host your application. Just like as we hosted our website with a server, the coffee website, we hosted it with a server so that people on the internet can be able to view our website. Then you have a switch. A switch is a device that helps computers that are connected together in a private network to share or send or transfer data from each other. So if you have a company and you have a lot of gadgets, you might have a switch that helps you to collect data or traffic from one device and send it to another device. Then the other devices that we have in a computer network is router. So this is when you have a computer connected together. This is called a private network. If that private network of computer wants to communicate to another private network of computer or another public network of computer, they can only do so with the help of router. Is switch now, switch takes communication within the private network. It takes from computer B, computer A is sent to computer B, sent to phone. That is the work of a switch. Some router can do that too now, but the main purpose of router is to take traffic from this network. If any, this is a private network now. If any communication is going out from this private network, that means it's not going to any of the devices that is connected there. It's going to another device in a separate network. Then it is the work of the router to take that communication out from this network. So for two networks to be able to communicate together, they need to be connected. And they need to be connected through router. So if you have a private network and you want to communicate to another network that is not your own, maybe your Netflix, they have a promo that, or maybe your service provider, you want to, because let's say you set up a network, you have laptop, you have computer, you have all these phone device, but none of them is connected to the internet. If you want to connect it to the internet, or you want to be able to communicate with another person that is not in this private network, you need internet. So your router now will be the one that will take this communication from this network to the internet. Or you might not, maybe you want to connect to another private network. It's still your router that will take that communication to the private network. So that is these are the basic components of your computer networks. So this giant computer network, guess what we can do? Because for me, let's assume this is I'm just starting my company, which is TheCornelis Computer Networking. And maybe let's say I started this company like 3 years ago, and now say, okay, we built to some extent that we need another branch, right? So for us needing another branch now, where we cannot connect all, let's say we have a branch in Dallas now, and we need another branch in New York. Then we're going to have another set of computers that are connected together in New York. So we can now divide some of the gadgets that we have in Dallas branch. We can take some of them out and take them to our New York branch. So this is model of like you have a two separate network, but these two separate network is both of them are private. This is private and this is private. By default, they cannot communicate to each other. If you want this branch to be able to communicate with this branch without going through the internet or something like that, we need to connect both of them together. And for us to connect this, we need what is called a router. So a router, we listen to the communication here. If any communication want to go out, they send it to the router, and then the router will send it to this router that is here. So you can see the purpose of router now. It can join multiple networks together for them to be able to communicate. How the question that it might be in your mind is that how possible, or how is it possible for router to be able to take traffic from one network and send it to another network? Is it God? Is it magician? No, a router use what is called a route table. A route table is just a set of instruction that you must already configure to that router, or you must have provided to that router, like, hey, if a traffic is going out from Dallas and is giving you this specific IP address or this IP address range, then this is where you should send it to. And that is where the router will go to check, okay, this computer, you want to send message to another computer in another center, but this is the IP address. Then it's going to go to the route table and look at that IP address, like, oh, this IP address 0000, where should I send it to? Oh, send it to the target, which is the internet gateway. Every computer have IP address. That is the address they use to send traffic to them, or they use to collect traffic. So this is just a basic computer um, networking introduction. Any question? All right. If there's no question, I'll say thank you for listening to this.